The area west of Saskatoon started to become settled after 1900, with the CPR main line from Asquith to Wilkie entering service on October 28, 1909. The Asquith subdivision was originally constructed in 1908 as a ballast pit track, reaching 7.3 miles north to load gravel for construction of the CPR main line towards Wilkie, and was known as the Asquith Northerly Branch. With the branch line there, farmers from the Arlee, Struan, and Sunningdale areas persuaded the CPR to let them load cars of grain directly off the banks of the rail bed, and have the CPR take the boxcars out to the main line for shipment. For many years, the hamlet at the end of the spur line in 1908 was called the Pit. Area settlers wanted to name it Gravelburg, but that name was already taken. So when the CPR built northwards in the 1920s, they named it Environ. The carloads of grain and lobbying by farmers in the area must have had an impact, as in 1922, the CPR decided to extend the line another 22.4 miles to Sunningdale, but this was not fully completed for several years. By 1926, 2 elevators were built at Environ, and the train later ran both directions once a week. Since the route to Arlee was already surveyed, the United Grain Growers elevator opened on September 1, 1927, and the Pool elevator opened 12 days later. The following year, the CPR put the tracks through, and the hamlet of Arlee sprang into existence. Arlee was a thriving town, with 6 stores, lumber yards, and machine shops, a bank, drugstore, and butcher shop. The rail also reached Struan in 1928. Some accounts have Struan's population peaking at 121, while others say it never exceeded 100. Struan did, however, have a store, gas station, and 3 elevators, 2 of which were eventually owned by the Pool and 1 by the United Grain Growers. The first post office opened near Sunningdale in 1907, about a mile west of the current town site, followed by a blacksmith, stores, and a school, but all were then moved to the present town site when the CPR completed its survey. One story has Sunningdale originally named New Ottawa, but the post office rejected the name. Telephone service arrived in 1917, and the CPR completed construction to Sunningdale in late 1928. Spinney Hill was never much more than a siding, but people in the district were proud supporters of the area, as well as the Spinney Hill School. Prior to the rail's arrival, a Scotsman named Sandy Warden arrived in the district in 1885 and named it Baljennie after his youngest daughter, Jean. But when approval for a post office came through, however, it was spelled Baljennie. Baljennie was already on the telegraph line from Fort Pelly, near Yorkton, to Edmonton, which had been completed in 1876. Baljennie was also part of the Battleford Trail from Saskatoon to Edmonton. The stagecoach would leave Battleford on Monday, arrive in Saskatoon on Wednesday, then departing the same day and returning to Battleford on Friday. People in the area had been lobbying to get rail service extended to Baljennie for quite some time. On November 29, 1930, a letter arrived with notice that the CPR would build on to Baljennie. In 1931, the rail finally arrived in Baljennie, with regular service beginning at 12:30 p.m. on October 5th, with freight and passenger service to the main line. From 1931 to 1960, scheduled passenger and freight service operated, but in July 1960, due to the termination of the mail contracts, service was reduced to the first and third Wednesdays of the month. In October of 1963, the passenger car was eliminated. Then, in 1964, service became available on an if and when required basis, and later that year, the line was classified as a snow line, with minimal or no service between November and May. The RM of Eagle Creek never had a highway, but soon Highway 376 was built on the square and paved. It ran from what was then Highway 14 west of Asquith to the future bridge across the North Saskatchewan River near Maymont. On June 30, 1977, the line from Baljennie to Sunningdale was abandoned, with the elevators closing and the tracks then removed in the summer of 1978. The spur line from Baljennie to the main line was in operation for a mere 46 years. On July 31, 1981, the rail between Sunningdale and Arlee was abandoned, with the tracks removed the following year. A year later, the rail line between Arlee and the main line was abandoned, with the tracks removed in 1983. With the rails now gone for almost as long as they existed, Baljennie is still home to a handful of people. The ghostly footprints of the tracks and elevators at Baljennie are still visible, and evidence of the Y, where the train turned around, can still be seen. Although overgrown, the rail bed east of Baljennie is very much still visible. Spinney Hill has been mostly unchanged for the last 120 years, since the arrival of the settlers. The school and most businesses have closed in Sunningdale, and its population is now less than 50. The ghostly outlines of the tracks can still be seen from the air as the rail bed continues to the southeast. Struan is now home to just a handful of people. The remains of the rail bed here has been turned back into cropland, but the path of the railway can still be seen, here in the crop to the right of the road. At Arlee, the rail bed is still visible coming in from the west. The hamlet of Arlee is the home of the offices of the RM of Eagle Creek, number 376. Here again, the rail bed is still visible as it travels off to the east. At Eagle Creek, the CPR had to construct a considerable rail bed to navigate the Creek Valley. Evidence of the loop needed to cross the valley is still in plain sight at Eagle Creek Regional Park. The rail bed has been partially removed here to help Eagle Creek flow unimpeded. At Environ, evidence of the century-old gravel pit is still visible at the bottom left. Almost 5 kilometers west of Asquith, on Highway 14, at the rail point Urban, the Y at the CPR main line is still clearly visible. In places along the abandoned line, the rail bed is still clearly visible. In others, it has virtually disappeared. This video is in tribute to the towns, families, farmers, and ranchers along the Baljennie Spur Line, now consigned to another page in Saskatchewan's abandoned history.